Hi there everyone, this is Judge Lackman. In this video I'll be speaking about the topic of fear of metaphysics or the occult. This is a topic that comes up quite often in people that I work with, whether it's people I'm dealing with psychological issues with, or people that are going into a path of spiritual development or spiritual exploration. When we speak of metaphysics, we're really just talking about the basic principles of energy and consciousness that govern reality. And those principles are often looked upon as occult ideas, things that have in some way been hidden or kept from the masses, things which religion often speaks against. So many people come from religious backgrounds where they were taught some type of narrow doctrine or dogma, some limited ideas about God and spirituality, and they were taught to avoid anything that fell outside of those parameters. So if there's any particular practice, any idea that didn't have the support of their belief system, they were taught in some way to fear it, to think that it might be somehow evil or detrimental. If we look at some of the mainstream religions, we see this theme that they're teaching exclusivity, that you have to follow their particular way, their doctrines, their rules, their rituals, and so on. So if you come from that type of a background, it is common to have some fear or anxiety associated with exploring metaphysics, exploring things like past lives and reincarnation, exploring meditation, yoga, exploring channeling or communication with the spiritual realm. Those are all things that are commonly looked upon as having to do with metaphysics or the occult. And a lot of mainstream religious traditions frown upon those activities. They discourage their followers from looking into these things. So they put kind of this small box or cage around people's spiritual exploration. They convince them that if they explore these other things, they're opening themselves up to something that is negative or evil, something that would be detrimental in some way that could harm their soul. So let's look at this kind of in a more rational, more constructive manner. Let's see what's really going on here, what these belief systems actually do or create, what purpose things serve. One thing to realize is that in creation, there is this phenomenon of polarities, of dark and light, positive and negative, things that would seem beneficial, things that would seem harmful. So it's natural for people to want to differentiate, to decide that there are some things that are desirable, while there are other things that they would perceive as potentially harmful. This applies to everyday human affairs. So there are some people that you would want to hang out with, other people that you would want to avoid. There are some people that you would want to talk to them, you would value their advice, their opinions, and other people that you wouldn't really care what they think, what their thoughts and ideas are. So we can see that there are things in our everyday life that we might view as either positive or negative influences. And we go about our life, we interact with people, we learn to discern what is beneficial for us and what we don't resonate with, what we don't feel we would like to have as part of our life. This doesn't mean that we completely avoid life. We don't lock ourselves in our homes or apartments. We don't cut off contact with the world around us. We don't turn off our computers, our phones. We realize that life is interaction with people. Sometimes we'll encounter people that might have some type of negative intention, some type of shady agenda, and if that comes up, we know that we'll be able to deal with that, to address that as we need to. We won't be consumed by evil just because we happen to talk to a person who has some shady intention. So let's look at this metaphysical realm in the same way. If we communicate with spirits, if we explore the spiritual realm, we can encounter both positive and negative, dark and light, things that would be supportive to us, things that could be suppressive to us, and we can learn to discern. We don't have to avoid that realm. In fact, if we avoid that realm, we'll never really have the opportunity to develop that discernment. So it's kind of a way of giving away our power. Just as if you avoid socializing with people, you won't develop social skills, you won't have that experience and wisdom to effectively communicate with other people, to assert your will. In the metaphysical domain, the same thing can happen. If we're avoiding interaction with that realm, then we're not developing the skills, the knowledge, and the power that we could apply to effectively interact with that realm. So we're really limiting ourselves, we're constricting our power, our wisdom, our capability to actually contribute something positive. If we want to expand our potential in the positive direction, we can't be afraid of encountering things that might seem negative. We have to be willing to deal with those things, to confront our fears, to build our power to handle any challenges that may arise. So if you've come from a background where you've been taught that anything that's occult or metaphysical, anything that's, quote, New Age, is somehow a doorway to negative things, to having evil influence you, it's time to rethink these ideas, to realize how they may be limiting you, how they can actually make you more vulnerable to things that are negative. Having a lack of awareness actually leaves us more vulnerable. It puts us in greater danger than if we were actually well informed, if we educated ourselves about things, if we developed knowledge and discernment to deal with those things. If you think about children, we're often protective of children because we know that they haven't developed the knowledge, the skills, the empowerment to handle challenges that adults are better prepared to confront. So we don't want to keep ourselves in a perpetual state of spiritual childhood. We would more ideally become spiritual adults, using that terminology, where we have greater understanding, greater experience, and we're prepared to go further into the spiritual realm. This is something that comes up a lot because people often have spiritual abilities or intuitive capacities that they are afraid to exercise. They're afraid to explore that, so they may close themselves off from their own potential, from their own abilities, because they're afraid of encountering things that are negative or fear-provoking, or they're afraid that they're going to start connecting with something that's negative or evil. So based on that, they can shut themselves down. They can constrict their energy, their chakras, and so on. And if they continue to do that for a long time, it may often create a physical effect. So people could develop physical illnesses that are actually a result of constricting their energy, of blocking themselves off from their own spiritual potential. Let's consider this kind of a wake-up call that our soul wants us to evolve, to develop our spirituality further, to not lock ourselves in a box where we're trying to protect ourselves from any potential negativity or evil that's outside of us, and as a consequence, we're not able to accomplish the positive potentials that would otherwise await us. So let's be more empowered, more whole, more open to things that may have been kept hidden from us before, more open to understanding a bigger picture of life and creation, to seeing into other dimensions or levels of existence, and understanding how those other layers of consciousness and existence relate to or interact with the physical plane that we're perceiving. We can't really truly fully understand physical life without understanding the spiritual dimensions, without having that metaphysical awareness. So if you're looking to grow and develop as a human being, part of the process would involve opening up more to your spirituality, to understanding metaphysical concepts, and then applying that knowledge and wisdom in a way that empowers you to reach more of your potential, that enables you to contribute something that's positive to your community, to other people perhaps that you're interacting with. So the more conscious and aware you are, the more you have to share, to express, to bring to the world around you. So rather than closing yourself off, rather than being afraid of things that are unseen or unknown, you can open up your consciousness, have the courage to explore, just as a child has the courage to go beyond the confines of their home environment, to encounter other people, to connect with the world around them, with their school, their friends, their community, and so on. We can all expand ourselves in the spiritual realm. We can connect with other forms of consciousness, with other beings, with our own higher intelligence. And by doing so, we actually reduce our fears and our anxieties. We realize that we don't have to be afraid, that things that are negative don't really have power over us. We are empowered within ourselves. We have this spiritual energy and intelligence that is shining through us, radiating within us, and we can use that power, that spiritual essence, to expand ourselves, to experience more of life, to understand creation more fully. This is something that I hope gives each of us more to think about and consider. Whether you come from a conventional or unconventional religious or spiritual background, or if you've come from a non-spiritual or non-religious background, a more materialistic or humanistic background that doesn't acknowledge the spiritual realm, be open to expanding your scope of awareness. There are always more things than what we currently know or can perceive. I appreciate each of you for taking your time to view this video. For those that are interested in personal growth and holistic health and spirituality, you may watch more of my videos, and you can also visit my website, phinsights.com. That's PHINSIGHTS.com. And for now, I will wish each of you a wonderful day. Namaste.